The dorsal fin kind of makes him look like a shark, but this fish is very special. Logan also has some really cool display tanks in his shop featuring an enormous pacu that he ended up rescuing. The previous owner was feeding this fish hot dogs. Hey Reef Builders, my name is Remy and today we are celebrating Local Fish Store Saturday. This is a tradition that Jake started and I really wanted to continue this, so that's what we did. Before we get into it, do me a favor, and if you haven't yet, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you know whenever we upload new videos. We've had some people say that new videos weren't showing up in their feed, so just double check. So the day after Black Friday is when Jake would typically celebrate Local Fish Store Saturday. In the comments section below, let us know if you participated in Local Fish Store Saturday. What'd you get? Did you get a coral? Did you get a new fish? Did you get any dry goods? Let us know in the comments section below. The idea is to go to as many local fish stores as you have in your area and just buy something, anything. So I invited my friend Tyler to come along, inland_reef on Instagram if you want to check out his awesome mangrove tanks. And we did just that. We went to every store in St. Louis. Let's go to the first one. So our first stop, we decided to go all the way out to Corals and More. For me, this is about a 45-minute drive. They were celebrating their 2-year anniversary and had some raffles going on. Logan's store is newer and has got some big plans for the future. Hoping to maybe take a trip with him to the Solomon sometime next year to go do some exploring, do some diving, see some corals. Logan also has some really cool display tanks in his shop. This cube tank is by far one of my favorites. I love the dimensions. It's really cool. It features this gorgeous tilefish who just loved the camera. Why can't all fish be this still in the water? He's also got a couple ponds, one freshwater pond featuring an enormous pacu that he ended up rescuing. The previous owner was feeding this fish hot dogs. He's also got a saltwater pond with some sharks, a batfish that's changing right now, and also an emperor snapper. We looked around for a while. Tyler ended up with some calastria, some candy cane coral, and I snagged a button scolie and a fish. I picked up this DiJardini Tang. This was a fish that I had on my list for the Red Sea. They're so good, they're so hardy, such a colorful species. I've had them in fish-only tanks before, and I really wanted one for the Red Sea. Our next shop is actually right down the street. It's called Marine Solutions, and I have not been to this store in a while. This store is gigantic. It's just wide open space inside, and unfortunately for me, it's not super close, so I rarely come in here. They had a ton of great coral, lots of fish. They had really awesome displays at Marine Solutions, and in the end, Tyler and I just ended up getting some dry goods. I got some RODI resin. I got some replacement blades for a scraper that I have here. Got some nori and a clip for the nori. Definitely wanted to buy something, and definitely know that I need to get back out there to check out what they've got. On to Seascape Studios. They're known for their large fish selection. They actually had a couple great stories at this LFS. They had a customer who was doing some research on food shrimp and prawn, and this guy right here was actually a leftover, and he just kind of sifts through the sand in one of their tanks now. It was really cool to see an actual prawn hanging out in a hobbyist looking tank. There's also this really beautiful, super unique yellow tang. The dorsal fin kind of makes him look like a shark, but this fish is very special. The story on this guy is that he was one of the first captive bred tangs in the US. Reef Builders actually did an article on this. The Rising Tide Conservation and the Oceanic Institute in Hawaii are responsible for this guy. So one of the first captive bred tangs. Yeah, he's got a kind of a weird dorsal fin there, but he steals everybody's hearts. He's kind of a store mascot when he's in there. And he's about 8 years old, so he's lived a good life so far. Tyler ended up with some gorgs. I ended up with a bird of paradise bird's nest and a nice chunky acropora frag. This is a tricolor acropora, I believe Velita or Velita. All right, on to the next. We've got a store called Art of Aquaria that just moved locations here in town. They used to have a bunch of saltwater, but I guess in their new location, they decided against putting it up right away. We love a good sale section though. So this is one of the benefits when you don't have a saltwater section, but you've got a bunch of saltwater dry goods, right? They do have a decent amount of freshwater. They've got snails, they've got reptiles, and I cannot wait to see what they turn this place into. Gotta buy something right, so I ended up with this staghorn fern, and Tyler got some moss for his terrarium. We had to break for some sustenance, and the McRib is back, so Next on the list was my local fish store. I've been coming to Corner Reef ever since we moved back to St. Louis. They recently expanded into the new storefront next to them. And if you remember, this was a construction zone just 6 months ago. We did a whole video on Reef Builders about it. Now Steve is building out this space and it's just looking better and better every day. They've got a bunch of different tanks that you can purchase from this new side of the store, and it took every ounce of me not to purchase this $40 system. That background is on point. I love that sea turtle. They also recently got this enormous clown trigger in. He's a beast. You'll notice that that power head right there doesn't have a guard on it. Well, that's because this clown trigger removed it and took it over to the other side of the aquarium. I've said it before, I'll say it again, you never know what you're gonna get at this store in particular because Steve is always buying tank breakdowns, so there's always something new in here, and there is plenty of coral. So after my talk with David, formerly of Top Shelf Aquatics on the Reef Therapy podcast, I took a chance on this maricultured millipora. I asked how long they had had it, and Steve said they've been sitting on this thing for about 3 months. I figured if it had been tanked for 3 months with polyp extension like that, then it was probably a good candidate for the new tank. I just love these furry milliporas. We left Corner Reef and headed to our last stop of the day, a place called STL Aquatics. You may remember an article we did earlier in the year about a place called Gateway Aquatics here in town that ended up burning. They had a fire and thus STL Aquatics was born. A couple of his employees ended up moving down a couple storefronts and opened up a new shop that's called STL Aquatics. We barely made it in. They were closing up shop for the day and we were on the very tail end. So to give you a little bit of a gauge, we started this tour at around 10 a.m. and this was about 4 o'clock when we ended up at STL Aquatics. So we picked up some frags. I picked up this Pavona and also a lemon lime hydnophora, a branching version of hydnophora that's doing great right now. And Tyler picked up another gorgonian. So when I got home, I dipped everything and then put everything in the tank. The Tang ended up hiding for a couple hours, but after that, I was pretty amazed to see how quickly this Tang was just out and about and already picking at rocks. I know I'm gonna catch some heat for not QTing this fish. However, he's been doing pretty good for the last couple weeks, so no complaints. He looks healthy. He's been doing his thing, helping me out, cleaning up that algae, and it's so beautiful. And don't worry, I'm in the process of setting up a simple QT system, documenting that, so hopefully, if you don't have a QT system right now, we can show you how to do that. If you missed the Reef Therapy with Jason Brown, aka Unorthodox Reef, we talk about how to set up a simple QT as well if you wanted to go check out that episode. All in all, I think I spent about $400 or so. I think Tyler spent about the same. Now that would have been higher, and I had budgeted a little bit higher because there was a purple tang that I really wanted and a golden assessor, but both of those fish didn't make it into the shop in time that we shot this video. I do have them, and that will be for a future update. I really want to thank all the local fish store owners for having us in to shoot some video. I know our stores here in St. Louis had really good weekends. Logan said that he had the best weekend since the store opened. I don't know if that was because of LFS Saturday and getting the word out about that or what it was, but for whatever reason, it was a good weekend. There are a ton of choices, and I think a lot of us use most of those different choices in this hobby, but if you can, go to your local fish store and support them as much as possible. And let's keep this tradition alive. I don't think we should do it just one time a year. I think maybe 2, 3, 4 times a year. I think it might be fun to do an LFS crawl in your city. So if you've got some good local fish stores, leave in the comments section below where we should go, and maybe we can come to your city and do a whole local fish store crawl in that town. I think that'd be so much fun. Also, we'll be notifying the winners of our LFS Saturday Instagram post. If you went on to our Instagram and you punched in wherever your local fish store is that you went to on Local Fish Store Saturday, we might get you a swag bag, a t-shirt, some Reef Builders swag. So we'll be notifying those winners here shortly. If you could, it is super easy to interact below. Go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so you know whenever we upload new videos. Okay, now it's time for me to get back to Christmas shopping and eggnog and stuff, because that's what you do this time of year, right? Jog for the nog. What a weird drink, eggnog. It might just be a weird name. I don't know. The word nog it's weird. Hits me the wrong way, right in the stomach. Nog. All right, enough nog talk. I'll see you in the next one.